This week, LEGO announced an expanded partnership with Formula One, and that announcement came on the heels of other announcements, such as some new Wicked sets based off of the Netflix theme Wednesday. You've got a new partnership with Nike, the D&D Castle, and collectible minifigs, and more licensed sets and themes. And this got me thinking, are we seeing too many themes from LEGO that are licensed? Is LEGO giving up on some of its own creative ingenuity? Well, I took a look at nearly every single product that LEGO has released since 1953 to come up with some answers. Let's go ahead and dive in. When you think of licensed LEGO sets, you probably think of Star Wars, Harry Potter, Batman, or something else. My guess is that you weren't thinking about a gas station, which happens to be, from what I can tell, the very first licensed type set that LEGO ever came out with back in 1955. Now, the name of the set was Service Station, and it was based off of Esso, which was an oil company that was formed out of Standard Oil, which eventually became ExxonMobil. Now, LEGO periodically released some Esso or ExxonMobil sets throughout the 1950s, 60s, 70s, and even a little bit into the 1980s. And in fact, Esso or ExxonMobil weren't the only licensed products that LEGO ever came out with. During that era, they put out some sets that focused on products like Ford, Mercedes, Jaguar, Velveeta, and many others. The bottom line here is that LEGO has been using licenses in their sets for a long time, as long as we can really date back in their history. And that's, at this point, 70 years of LEGO sets. Indeed, many of these sets were based off of the system or town or promotional themes that were available at that time. And this is all according to the repository at Brickset.com. In fact, check out this quick figure that I produced depicting the percentage of all products released each year between 1953 and 2023 that are licensed. The first thing that jumps out to me is that there were quite a few licensed sets during the 1950s and 1970s. In fact, almost 43% of all LEGO products in 1964 were licensed. That worked out to 18 out of the 42 products released that year. This is because LEGO made a bunch of sets that were based on Volkswagen, Esso, Mercedes, and other types of vehicles. Once we get to the 1980s, though, LEGO backed off of the licensed products. Outside of some shell sets in the town theme and a bunch of promotional sets, we saw about 5% of total products as licensed. And then came the late 1990s and early 2000s when LEGO began increasing the share of licensed sets. We crossed 10% of sets being licensed in 2002, 20% in 2008, 30% in 2017, and nearly hit 40% of all set products being licensed in 2021. What is notable here is that the total number of products being released during this time was increasing rapidly as well. Where peak licensed products hit in 1964 when only 42 total products were released, LEGO has approached nearly 1,000 products released over the last couple of years, according to Brickset. Putting together both figures, we can see the correlation between total products and the percent of those products that are licensed. The correlation coefficient is 0.94, which is very strong, but there's something interesting going on here. Check out the post-2000 data, where the total number of licensed products are increasing, but not quite as fast as total products. Thus, while the share of licensed products has gone up precipitously, it's starting to level off in the mid to upper 30s. The result is that there is also an increasing number of products released each year that are not licensed. Of course, this previous analysis was based on overall products, which includes some things that aren't really LEGO sets, like video games, toys, and non-buildable or brick-built items. Another way we could look at this is to take a look at the themes that LEGO produces and see which of those themes are licensed. Now, we didn't get our very first licensed theme until we got to 1999, and that was, of course, Star Wars. LEGO followed this up in 2000 by adding some Mickey Mouse sets, and in 2001, they brought in Harry Potter as an evergreen licensed theme. What's interesting about the data here is the increase in the number of licensed themes overall. Over the past 25 years, we've gone from one licensed theme, Star Wars, to 15, with a particularly large jump from 2009 to 2011, and another big jump from 2022 to 2023. Some themes like Indiana Jones or even Harry Potter in some years don't have a lot of sets in them, but it ends up adding up to a lot of IPs. More on that in just a moment. But next, we're going to break this down a little bit deeper by looking at the percent of all themes that are licensed. And this is where we can see why some LEGO fans might be worried about the takeover by licensed themes. By 2004, the share of all themes that were licensed crossed 10%. By 2013, it surpassed 20%. By 2022, we hit 30%, and in 2023, we nearly hit 40% as 15 of 19 total themes were licensed. Now, I want to caution people that trends are not always linear. We saw with the percent of products that are licensed that it flattens out in the mid-30s. We might see something similar happen with licensed themes. Now, I also want to note that it's interesting that we see so many licenses being held by LEGO at any given point in time. And by held, I mean used, because I don't really know how many they actually have, but we know that they are using quite a few different IPs all throughout different years. Check it out. The total number of licenses largely stayed less than 5 throughout the first 50 years of LEGO in any given year. In fact, as recently as 2010, there weren't that many licenses in use at that point in time, but that changed in the 2010s and so far throughout the 2020s. We went from 6 themes in use in 2010 to 37 in 2022, but we did see a slight decrease in 2023 down to 30 total licenses. These licenses include sets like Star Wars and Harry Potter and some of those evergreen licensed themes, but we also saw over the years some one-offs like with Nesquik or with Steven Spielberg and other small licensed products that really weren't consistently picked up by LEGO. There's no doubt that licensed products and themes are on the increase with LEGO, and I hope that they are flattening out to a certain extent. So does that mean that we have too many licensed themes? To me, the answer is unclear. I don't really know what that means in terms of market saturation or how much fans are willing to stomach at any given point in time. And we'll explore why LEGO releases licensed products in just a moment. But I do want to point out that the interesting thing I'm seeing here is that LEGO is increasing the number of non-licensed products they put out every single year. In fact, there are quite a few themes that are evergreen that are LEGO's own creative property. For instance, themes like Classic, which used to be called Basic when I was a kid, or City, which used to be called Town when I was a kid. You've got some of the modern evergreen themes like Friends or Ninjago, and they keep coming out with sets in these themes, and they're not going away anytime soon. On top of that, LEGO is creating new IP, their own stuff, and putting them out in a series of themes like Dreams. Or if you go back a few years, you've got things like Nexo Knight or even The Legends of Chima. The bottom line is that LEGO has a lot of themes plus a lot of one-offs through icons and some other themes that allows them to put out the sets that they want and explore new ways to build with bricks in different ways. It's also important to address why LEGO is coming out with licensed themes and sets. And we all know the number one reason for this, of course, is money. LEGO is trying to pull in revenue and profit, and to do that, they're going to tap into IPs that are popular in culture and that fans have connections with. A corollary of this is that LEGO is also trying to bring in new fans to their product. I think a good example of this would be Stranger Things when they came out with that set a couple of years ago, or the Simpsons sets, or even recently with the upcoming Wednesday sets. They're tapping into different markets that may not be engaged with LEGO, or they may be trying to get people back into LEGO that used to be in it. For instance, I think the Rivendell set was a great example of that. We also know that LEGO is trying to tap into nostalgia, and so there's a lot of themes or sets that LEGO is bringing back from the 1980s and 1990s, such as the Pac-Man set. That's another one of those that people who may not be into LEGO look at that and think, that's really interesting, I want to get that. So the big reason, of course, is money. The secondary reason is to develop new fans and strengthen those relationships with fans. And the third reason is to help augment our own creativity in building with Lego. I think a lot of people really enjoy Lego, and Lego does a great job with some of their own creative IP, like Ninjago. I love the Ninjago City sets, and the Ninjago City markets, for instance, is just a beautiful mess of angles and building techniques and crazy things happening. But I also get that same feeling in some ways when I built the Burrow, when you see different angles and different Easter eggs and beautiful chaos kind of mixed into a cramped interior. And it helped me engage with Lego in a different way than if I were building something that I wasn't familiar with as a product in terms of the content or the subject matter. So I think that can help us, and it can help keep us engaged in the product, which Lego certainly wants to do. So in the end, I think we're definitely seeing more and more licensed sets and products. I'm hoping that there isn't going to be an increase beyond what we're seeing in the 30s and 40s. If it does, I don't really know what happens. I think there might be a point in time where fans just say enough is enough, or it could just be that they are so successful in which licensed products they're using that they get more and more fans, more and more of the market share. And for them, that could be a good thing. The bottom line, though, is don't panic about Lego running out of their own ideas. I think they've done an excellent job over the years demonstrating that there are always different things that they can do, new ways they can put pieces together, new pieces and elements they can come up with that will keep us engaged in the product and create a wonderful building experience for us. I hope you've learned something today by watching this video. If you have, consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching, and always remember to keep building together.